This project is in response to the loss of my brother, my twin brother, which is a profound and shocking, significant episode in my life. And so I'm thinking about the identity, the connection, the bond, him there and not there, specifically. And I'm also thinking nostalgically about childhood and things that are fleeting, and yet we're not aware they're fleeting at the time. I started doing the work for this show about a year ago, and for a long time, not a long time, about a year after the passing of my brother, it was a kind of no man's land, and then at first, so I started actively putting my hand to it about a year ago. And then that evolved considerably as well. The process of actually doing the work was invaluable for trying to sort out that experience, which was, for me, totally unique and overwhelming and distracting. And so as far as putting a place for your energy, I think that's what the work is about, or painting is about anyway. It's taking the events of your life and the emotions of your life and applying them in a different kind of dialogue. And the action helps too, to physically respond to an event. The piece on metal, which I think is called Twins, is an interesting piece for me because it deals with, specifically with the subject I'm dealing with at the moment, and then I'm always interested in having a specific focal point, but I want the work to be general in a way too, and not just speak to one event, but to whatever's happening in the viewer's life and experiences. So it might be, that connection with a friend that they had, or just that historical, nostalgic feel, and so that piece, I'm thinking of how a gesture can evoke an emotion or a connection, and I like the connection between the two figures, and yet it's separated by the two pieces being physically on separate canvases, if you will. The medium is, in terms of language, as art being a language, there's the gesture and the reference, the obvious reference to the connection, and then when on those pieces too, when I thought of language, the background is actually Braille. It's punched out Braille, and so I was thinking about, how Braille is a tactile language, and yet it's a visual thing that that everybody has that reference of those patterns, but it might not be really evident when you look at that's Braille or it's a language, and yet it sort of has a punch out sort of thing that you can access somewhere. The work about the bunk beds, a lot of my life was spent sharing a room when we were young, so there was always that. And then when I thought of the metaphor of just the empty bed, and it suddenly, it didn't seem like such a happy place anymore, where at one time it can be a sanctuary and a happy place and an intimate place, and then it, all of that can change, and it's can be a lot more daunting and lonely or formidable. I like the work to be able to reflect something that was more than just technique, to evoke an emotion, but I also like that emotion to be somewhat ambiguous and changing depending on what you bring to it on any day. It's always the question, when is it done? Some they come direct and quick, and then there's the, okay, don't touch it, don't touch it, don't touch it, and you do, and it's wrecked. And others, they come and they're not there, and you're trying to fool yourself, and then it's like there's a little voice, and so it's always hard to know when they're done. But when you have that a moment of clarity, and it's not, and you're thinking, and you can see it for what it is probably a good time to stop. The process of dealing with a specific subject, and also that bounces into a general subject too, is fascinating, and the trips and turns that you go through, and at any point in the process or the journey, and I just think it's never over. Yeah. It's this body of work, and it's always an ongoing thing, and adding to something along the way and changing into something else. I'm sure it's something that I'll revisit on some level for a long time.